Hi foodies, how you doing? Today I am sharing with you my rice and peas and fried chicken with gravy, Jamaican style. I've had Korean fried chicken, southern fried chicken, and I love them all, but Jamaican fried chicken just has a place, special place in my heart. That nice fried chicken that you get in your box lunch when you buy it on the street. Oh, so good. Let's get into it. So of course we have our chicken parts. You can use the whole chicken. I'm using leg and thigh today, and that's cleaned of course. All the info is in the description box. And I have a mixture of seasonings here that will be in the description box. In Jamaica, mostly they'll use like a chicken seasoning or a all-purpose seasoning, and a lot of restaurants do use MSG, but some of them don't. Okay? And some people love seasoning salt. So aside from that, we're going in with some fresh garlic. Now, sometimes I use my green seasoning. That's like a mixture of herbs that we love to use in Caribbean cooking. Sometimes I'll use that. But the country style Jamaican fried chicken, we use the whole vegetables mostly. So sometimes we use green seasoning along with this too, right? But we use these sliced vegetables and the scallion and then some crushed pimento, and then we rub all of this into the chicken, and then it is marinated overnight. Then we use the same sliced vegetables to make a gravy the next day. All right, so if you have my green seasoning in your fridge, you can definitely add it here, but the usual country style way, we just add the sliced vegetables and some scotch bonnet too. You can add more if you want. Okay. So let this sit overnight. Okay, good. Now to the peas. I had the peas soaked. So this is dry red kidney beans, but we call it peas in Jamaica, red peas. So we soak it overnight with some garlic. And then what I've done here, guys, is I've pressure cooked it in my Instant Pot for 10 minutes. If you don't soak it overnight, it'll take maybe over 35 minutes to pressure cook. Then pour it into my pot on the stove. All right, and then we're gonna add some nice flavor to this. I know. Somebody watching is saying, Jareen, why you putting the sugar in the rice and peas? It's a choice. You don't have to. I like to have it just slightly sweet. It's not excessive. Just a little bit of sugar. You know why? Sometimes you just want to have the rice and peas by itself. If it has a nice balance of, slightly sweet and salt, it makes it so enjoyable. Anyhow, you can leave it out if you don't want to. All right. So go in with your scallion, of course, and you can use your meat mallet or the back of your knife just to pound the scallion a little bit to get more of that flavor out, or you can slit them, lengthwise. But just make sure you get that in there, okay? And I add coconut oil. Yes, I do add a little bit of coconut oil because it is so fragrant. It's so flavorful, so it does add a little bit of extra flavor. You don't have to. If I only have a little bit of coconut milk like in the freezer, I do add a little coconut oil just to get more of that flavor. And make sure that you add enough salt and taste it, okay? Now, if you're someone that swears by the 1 inch above rule, one thing you can do instead of sticking your finger in there, mark. So use a sharp knife to mark 1 inch, exactly 1 inch on a wooden spoon, and just keep that spoon to use each time you want to do that 1 inch above. So you'd stick it in the liquid, and then once you hit the rice, then you check to see if it's 1 inch above. All right, and then this is my washed long grain rice, and I'm just gonna pour that in there and use the cooking fork to stir things around. Now, if you have one of those regular electric stoves with your knobs, with your high and low and your numbers, what I do after I cover the pot is I turn it to 4 for 5 minutes. And then after 5 minutes, I turn the knob to 3.5 for the rest of the cooking. Okay. So let's get into the coating of the chicken. Now, traditionally, country style cooking in Jamaica, we don't use the egg and the flour. And when you're at home, you might. But when you go to many restaurants, it's just seasoned flour. Some of them use annatto seed, like the ground annatto seed for color. And some people will use turmeric, and some people use egg powder. I'm using turmeric today. I love using egg powder. Honestly, when I was back home, I liked buying it, but I don't see it anywhere here in Toronto. So I'm using turmeric today. Regular basis in Jamaica, I would use egg powder. And sometimes I just don't use anything. You just fry it with the seasoned flour. All right, so mix these together. And we are using no milk or no eggs, just seasoned flour. So after you coat all the pieces of chicken thoroughly with the seasoned flour, let it sit for about 10 minutes and then coat it again in the same seasoned flour. That's what we're going to do, okay? Now, what some people do is they put just sprinkles of water, just splashes of water on the chicken or into the flour just to add some of those little flakes. Because what happens is the flour and the water combines and then you get those tiny little flakes and that crispiness. You don't have to do it, okay? And then just coat again, press the seasoning into the chicken, and then we'll be good to go for frying. Remember, when you're frying, you're gonna knock off the excess flour before you fry, okay? I'm using my deep fryer. If you don't have a deep fryer, use your Dutch pot. Just maintain that temperature, okay? And the deep fryer has a built-in thermometer. But with your Dutch pot, if you want to make sure that the chicken is cooked, you could prick it. So hold it out of the oil though, and prick the thickest part. If the juices run clear, that means your chicken is done. If the juices are running pink or red, then that means you need to fry it some more, okay? While the chicken is frying, guys, and the rice is on the stove, we're gonna make the gravy. So these veggies are everything that I picked off of the chicken, okay? And then we're gonna saute these. We're not gonna let them get brown and burn. Just saute them and add these as well. All right. And you can also mince the ginger finely. Sometimes I do it, finely. Sometimes I just put chunks and then take them out after. But you're basically just cooking up those veggies that you seasoned, that you marinated the chicken in. All right. And then you can add some water. So just take the water and rinse out that bowl that you seasoned the chicken in. Okay. And add the liquid here. And then add some ketchup. Ketchup is always in there. Most places that you go and you order that nice little box lunch, you're gonna get some ketchup in the gravy. Some people add some more all-purpose or chicken seasoning. Now, this is where many people might do different things. Some might add soy sauce, some might add a little jerk sauce, some might add a little barbecue sauce, some even add a little vinegar and sugar. And there's also a fish and meat sauce by Grace that some people add. There's pica pepper, so you'll get a lot of variations depending on which restaurant or which home you go to. But most likely you're gonna have your ketchup, black pepper, these seasonings, a little sugar, the pimento is in there, and then you can, change things up to suit yourself. And if you have some sweet chili sauce at home, you could even add a little bit, but just a touch. You don't want to add too much because you're not making a sweet chili sauce, you're making a little gravy. So we'll add a slurry. Slurry is just a mixture of water and flour or water and cornstarch. Whisk in a little bit at a time and watch it. And then if it's thick enough, you don't have to use all of it. Just keep watching it. And remember, when you add flour to something, you're gonna need to season again. Okay, so you'll taste and you can add your, more sugar or soy sauce, ketchup, or any of those other sauces that you might add, and taste it before you you serve it. Okay, so just let this simmer and allow all the flavors to mesh together well, and then you can taste again. Some places you go to, the gravy is gonna be an orangish color, a reddish color, or a brownish color. It all depends on the sauces that you add to it. Okay guys, so let's check on the chicken. Look at that. Beautiful. When you get your box lunch in Jamaica with your fried chicken, it's just that nice, rich, brown coating, and it's so crunchy. But then the chicken, a lot of people chop up the chicken and then it's just super juicy on the inside, even though outside is crunchy. And this is without any egg or any milk, right? Because can you imagine trying to use egg and milk for every customer in those restaurants? That would be so costly. And in a lot of homes, you can't afford to be using egg and milk every time you fry chicken, right? So a lot of people just use their seasoned flour, and it's still delicious and gorgeous. Now it's time to check on the rice. Look at that. Hear that? That's the sign that it hasn't burned at the bottom. The fork hits the pot perfectly. And I'll give you a close-up shot. So it's not too dry, it's not too moist, it's just perfectly cooked. Beautiful. Depending on what type of red peas you get or how much you use, then the rice color will be, be affected. So if you use a really deep, rich red peas and a lot, then the rice will be a little more red. But what's important is flavor. Check that out, guys. See? All I did was I just left it on the stove, heat was off, and there it is. Really nice texture. And let's check out the bottom of the pot, guys. See? Clean, clean. If you keep the fire high the whole time, of course it's gonna burn. You can't keep it high the entire time. That don't make no sense. All right? So look at that, and then we'll just put everything together. I do have coleslaw on the plate. I'll leave the link in the description to my coleslaw recipe. This is just fresh coleslaw, no mayo. You could add mayo if you want. But look at that beautiful chicken with the gravy and the rice. Some people like gravy on the chicken, some like it on the rice. For me, it just depends on what I feel like. But this is absolutely tasty. It is amazingly delicious and simple. So give it a try and let me know what you think. I have other fried chicken recipes on my channel, so let me know if you like the Jamaican version. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Don't forget to subscribe.